Hello and welcome back to the Sword Experience Hollywood podcast. It is a fabulous day outside. I've got David Bethke sitting in it's amazing what he looks like at the moment. He looks like he's in some sort of like...
the lighting's all off. You know, they're lighting John Wick behind me, and then all of a sudden I'm lit right here. It's kind of confusing what's going on set right here.
Yeah, but it looks like you're actually matching the grey T-shirt with the background today. I kind of like that.
That's
kind
true.
of like that. As I have with my one too. I've got some guy kicking somebody across the screen here.
You seem very calm and poised for what's going on in the background of yours. If this is for anyone who's watching right now, if you're listening to the podcast, you have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah,
but,
zero.
Check out the YouTube channel. This is a good time to pitch the YouTube channel in that case.
That's right. Listen to the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and throw it to your grandma or your dog. It doesn't really matter as long as it gets shared.
There you go.
So, yeah. So, what have you been up to? Have you seen any movies? Actually, we're talking offline. You've seen a couple of movies lately, haven't you?
We were talking offline. Like, let's talk this on the podcast. So let's talk this on the podcast. A couple of weeks ago, I saw Fast 9, which is the triumphant return to theaters. This was the ninth Fast and the Furious movie, which to me was a little long and a little bloated, but had all the high-octane action. I'm sounding like a commercial here. The high-octane action you'd expect from Vin Diesel and all of his friends. John Cena has now joined the crew. So, they're just adding to that because, The Rock is away doing whatever he's doing. So you got to get some big-name wrestler to fill his space. And then, I had a good time with it. It was a good movie. It had everything I expected in it. Like, obviously, I'm not going expecting, modern-day cinema. I'm going to shut my brain off, and that's exactly what I got out of that movie. So, yes.
Shutting your brain off.
Yes.
There are those movies you have to go and do that with.
Mm-hmm.
When we turn the TV channel a lot of the time, you sit there and you look at stuff and you go, well, I just want to be entertained. I want to have a comedy at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the great thing about having it. Sometimes you just want to see just somebody kicking the shit out of somebody else.
Exactly.
Well, this week we got a great guest this week, Stephen Koepfer, who is a lifelong New Yorker and martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's got black belts in a bunch of different arts: Taekwondo, Judo. He's a master of sport of Russia. He combats Sambo. He's also got competitive experience, but he, is a SAG stunt performer since childhood, pretty much.
Jeez.
He's always loved sort of working in film and TV, from what I understand. I had a great conversation with him,
mm-hmm.
and I actually did mention about his first old Super 8 camera of his father's that kind of started his love for it. But he's served as technical advisor on the Human Weapon. I don't know if you guys saw it. Did you ever see that, the Human Weapon?
It sounds familiar. Was that like a Discovery show or something like that?
It's a History Channel
Got
show.
it. Yeah.
He also was an advisor on season 1 finale of Travel Channel's Darnie Tackles the Globe.
Gotcha.
A whole bunch of different things, and he's been fortunate enough to work with John Wick, which is why we have John Wick chapters. He's done the Blacklist, The Punisher, Ray Donovan, and he also co-founded Breakfall Studios, which is really interesting because I talked to him a little bit about Breakfall in New York, and he opened it up with his partner and fellow martial artist, stunt performer Paul Veracci.
Oh.
Actually, it's interesting. In American, you call it Paul Veracci. In Italy, you call Paul Veracchi, because the double C and H make it a curse sound.
Huh.
So I'll be kind of interested how he pronounces it. Paul, if I mispronounced it, I'm so sorry.
You hit both of them. You got both. You hit
I
both.
got both of them somewhere down the line. Yeah. Anyway, let's get quickly to that interview, and then we'll be back after you've heard what we had to say, because we cover a lot of ground. Good morning. I am bi-coastal this morning, LA to New York with Stephen Koepfer. How are you doing this morning, Stephen?
Great, man. How are you? This afternoon for me.
This afternoon, yeah. I keep forgetting that. I just came back from Philly, and it's like, oh yeah, it's 3 hours difference.
Yeah.
Coming over to the East Coast is always. I actually like the East Coast. I was saying that about Philly. I like the buildings on the East Coast. I like just that old type of feel to it, and the city. LA doesn't really have that,
my wife is from Vegas. She says the same thing. Like in Vegas, every 10 years, it's an entirely new landscape. And in New York, everything is the same. So.
Yeah. Do you come out to the West Coast a lot?
or at all?
Yeah, I mean, pre-COVID, I would come out there. I try and come out there annually to teach and train. You know, I usually hit up a couple places to get some training in, and then do some seminars and stuff. So
right,
I'm usually out there at least once a year.
So I want to ask you, your name is it German origin? Is it Croatian origin? Is it Eastern European? What's the origin?
It's German, so it actually means beheader in German.
So that's not good for me. You know why? Do you know why?
Yeah. Oh, I know why, man.
Today is England, Germany, and they're playing right now.
Oh no!
I was looked at. I bet he's German.
Yeah, but it's my family's been in America for so long. My mom's line comes from the Dutch, and we actually settled New Amsterdam. So I'm about as New Yorker as you can get. We've been here.
Yeah, I see you, and you've lived there all your life, you know.
Yeah.
So, what started you in the martial arts? I mean, because you've done a lot of different stuff. You got some amazing qualifications with your medals and the gold medals, bronze medals, and so how did you start? What started you in the game?
Well, I'll thank my mom. I started as a kid in the early 70s, you know, and she was a professor at Queens College here in City University. And, you know, I was kind of a latchkey kid. I had both parents working. My father was a fireman. My mom was a teacher. And so they had, you know, at the university, they had daycare programs for the staff's children. And so she put me in Shotokan karate when I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8 or something like that. And then, you know, it stuck. You know, I did that for about 2 years as a kid. And then I picked up martial arts back again in high school.
What do you think it gave you as a young boy?
You know, it's hard to say because it was really such a it seems so long ago, but I think it put an interest in me, you know, that I kept thinking about even after I stopped doing it as a kid. And then finally, when I was a little older and making more decisions on my own, I just wanted to go back to it. You know, it just was like kind of a magnet, I guess. I couldn't even tell you exactly, except I really enjoyed the environment of it, you know.
You've done a lot of tournaments as well, haven't you? You know, you're a team coach for the 2008 US World Sambo team, as well as a head coach for the 2015-2018 US Combat Wrestling team. What do you do you like these types of combat situations? Do you think it tests people even more than regularly?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I was never like a you know, kind of a world-class competitor. I did a fair amount of competition, and it was always just to kind of for reality checking, you know what I mean? Like to see if what I was doing was legit, was like working. And so I was never addicted to competition. I think what got me more interested in coaching was I really, really love, and I think it's one of my hallmarks as just a teacher and a coach, is I love community building and collaborative effort and things like that. So, and, you know, prior to doing martial arts full time, I used to have a whole nother life as an art therapist. I worked in pediatric oncology for about 10 years. And so teaching and one-on-one kind of, you know, work like that connection is really something that I love to do. And so I was able to bring that over into my coaching life, like really easily. And I think in martial arts, and you probably know this more than anybody, is that a lot of martial arts teachers never really learned how to teach, you know. And
yeah, it's interesting because, you know, people always ask me, you know, when I was doing Highlander and that, they said, you know, what martial arts should I take? And I said, it's not really the martial arts, the teacher. You know, it's what do you get? Do you understand what the teacher's teaching you, and what are their ideas and you know, what are they bringing to the table? You know, so really it's I think that's the important part, because obviously, you know, there's Kempo, there's Kung Fu, there's all these different styles. What do you feel? Because really the human body moves a certain way. I mean, unless you're getting down to grappling and you know, floor work, that's a slightly different thing, but the human body only bends a certain way. So how you bend it is really dependent on what you understand from the teacher.
Absolutely. And to your original question, I mean, what got me interested in, you know, in the late 90s, I found my Sambo coach, and people will ask me like, why Sambo? And my answer is always, it wasn't Sambo as much. It was him. I really appreciated his coaching style. It was the first time that somebody in my martial arts career, you know, I had done Shotokan, like I told you, as a kid. Taekwondo for many years, and then Kung Fu and Sanshao for many years. And when I hit Sambo, it was more about how Alex, my coach, his name is Alex Barakov. He was the first person that said, don't do that. That doesn't match the way your body is. And it doesn't match the way, he was the first person that didn't say, this is the way you do the technique, and you fit your body to the technique. He was the first person that flipped it,
Yes. I totally agree with you there. I mean, I teach people, as you see, I do the sword experience, and I go every single weekend to a lot of weekends away. And I have a lot of people that don't do, they've never done it before. And they're like, well, should I do it this way? Or should I do it that way? Or martial artists will say, I mean, my style is this. I said, well, really, it fits what if I'm giving you these moves, if you feel better slightly to do it from this side, or your foot goes this way, do it that way, because that's what you're automatically doing. That said, when you have a weapon in your hand and you have foot to work, sometimes it's hard for people to put both of those together. The top part moves independent from the bottom half, which is not how we normally walk, but people overcomplicate things than what they normally do.
So you go back to 2014, 2015, when Paul and I started wanting to get involved more in the industry. We went to a Fighting for Film workshop that was here in the city. It was taught by a stunt coordinator named Doug Crosby. He's the guy that worked with Darren Aronofsky. And we met a whole bunch of performers, and like 40 or 50 performers. And one of the biggest things we learned was that people were complaining there's not enough space for training. The city is very compact. It's not like LA. You go to LA, everybody's got big warehouses and things, and there's awesome, amazing places to train. New York, not so much. And I was like, hey, I own a gym. Let's set something up. So we started out with just like an open training for stunt performers, where I would open up the gym certain periods of time just for stunt folks to come in and work out. And then that kind of evolved, that's evolved into more of a formal program now, where we rent out space to productions in the city for rehearsals or to come shoot previs, and we have regular training sessions. So for example, to the idea of training constantly, pre-COVID, we're just kind of getting back into it now, but pre-COVID, we would shoot a fight a week. Every week we would shoot a fight, and we would rotate who's editing it and who's shooting it and who's performing in it every week, regardless of whether the end product looks like poop or it looks awesome. We don't share it with anybody, but every week we shoot a fight, because the best fight performers understand how to shoot and edit. They understand how that all comes together. So it was a very formal process that we created, that we kind of built over years of kind of trying to figure it out, the best way to do it.
And how do people actually apply to train there with you?
So we're just getting back into it now. We have a workshop coming up next month. So we'll do workshops that are open to anybody, like actors or stunt performers. We union first, and then it's open to union people first, and then at a certain point we'll open it to non-union people, but we give the union people first shot. And then but in terms of our training group itself, it's basically just invite only. Like we used to open it up to anybody, but then we realized we're not training ourselves. We're spending a lot of time teaching and not working out. So we created the system where we have the workshops that we teach that are open to anybody who wants to learn. And then we have our own work group that if we work with you on set, or we meet you, or if you come to a workshop and we feel like, oh, you're good to work out with outside of the workshops. The workshops are kind of like a feeder system, as it were. Like we'll meet a lot of actors on set that are like, maybe they're on set a day where stunts is pretty light. And they're like, oh, I can do my own stunts. I'm like, okay, why don't you come to our falls workshop? And then after 5 hours of falling, it's like, you still want to do your own stunts? If they say yes. Yeah, but if they say yes, then they've kind of passed the test, right? It's like, okay, come back. But so that's how, and we'll bring in other instructors, to teach different topics. Tactical firearm work, which is big now. If you're going to be in stunts, you have to look like you know how to hold a firearm, and then it's just everything. We try to offer as much as we can. Fencing, I have a really close friend who is a very high level fencing coach. He was the fencing coach for Drew University for like over 20 years. His wife was an Olympian fencer for Japan. And so we'll bring him in to teach basic fencing to people who want to learn it. You know, we try to get as much in as we can to give people a taste. In the end, it's up to you to find a place to keep training. Right. You can't do I took a workshop and now I'm going to put it on my resume.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that thing.
No,
definitely not.
Yeah.